So welcome everyone to the board meeting, Environmental Control Board. It is December 13, 2018, and we're going to call the meeting to order. My name is Tanya Richard. I'm Deputy Commissioner and General Counsel here at Oak, designated to chair today's meeting. So is there a motion to adopt the minutes for the October 25th, 2018 meeting? There's a motion, and all in favor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, thank you. All right, so our second item on the agenda, introduction of both ECB's proposed rule.
Good morning, Simone Saloon, Senior Counsel. So the first rule that we're going to discuss is a proposed rule amending sections 3-15A and B of OAT's procedural rules. So we brought this to you a few meetings ago, and during the meeting discussed some changes to the language, and specifically the changes were that to clarify that a superseding appeal decision will not extend or toll the limitations period for seeking judicial review of the initial appeals decision. When we went back and discussed this more internally, we realized that this could be really putting respondents at a disadvantage because they would have to file an Article 78 petition on the underlying appeals decision before getting a response on their superseding appeals decision. So what we put forth, and we circulated this memo after the last board meeting, which sort of describes the thought process that this went through, is to really just clarify that a decision denying a request for a superseding appeal decision or a decision granting a request for a superseding appeal decision is the actual final determination, which will then start the clock for filing an Article 78 petition. And we tried to make it really clear by explaining that a decision granting a request actually vacates the underlying appeals decision, and the decision denying a request incorporates by reference the underlying appeals decision so that everything is contained in the final superseding appeals decision. That's been the policy in the past, and we thought that moving forward that would be beneficial to respondents to make it easy for them to know when the clock starts. We also added in just some additional language that the request for a superseding appeal decision must be served upon the non-requesting party. Before, the rule didn't really contain any details about that process. So we think this proposal makes very clear that there are not two final determinations. There's only one, the superseding appeals decision.
Well, right, so I just want to clarify something. So in the case where somebody has, I'm sorry, this is Elizabeth now or Susan Bergover. In the case where somebody has requested a superseding appeal decision or made I don't know what the phraseology is, then the final determination would either be the denial or the granting of that.
Yes.
Right. So, but in the case, I guess, I think it's clear here that if you don't do that, then you can appeal directly from, there's no further exhaustion requirement.
Right.
You can appeal directly from or you can file an Article 78 challenging directly the final,
Right. Yeah,
the original appeal decision.
If you look at A, it says that this will become the final determination, and unless you get into B, subsection B, when you file.
Right.
So yeah, there's no requirement to file a superseding appeal decision to exhaust the remedies. But if you do, then you don't have to deal with having kind of two different decisions out there. Any more questions?
Okay, is there a motion to approve? Okay, motion and a vote in favor. All in favor? 1, 5, 6, 7 in favor. Okay. Any opposed?
Abstain.
That's 1 abstention. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and for the next proposal.
So the next proposal is similar to what you've been seeing us bring to the board meetings. This is another final repeal of the Landmarks Preservation Penalty Schedule, which is currently in section 3-114 of subchapter G of chapter 3 of Title 48 of the Rules of the City of New York. So we proposed this rule repeal, and you voted on it a while ago, and we published it in the city record on February 1st, 2018. A public hearing was held on March 28th, 2018. We didn't receive any public comment. No one attended the public hearing. And this Landmarks Preservation Commission is moving forward with the promulgation of literally the identical penalty schedule. The reason for the delay was that they were also changing more of their rules that house the penalty schedule as well. So it took some time. It's like a 125-page proposal of new rules, but the penalty schedule itself is identical. They didn't change any penalty amounts. They didn't change any violation descriptions. They just moved it over. Does anyone have any questions on this one?
Okay, motion to approve, and all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Any opposed? 2. Okay, so it's 7 in favor, 2 opposed.
That's all I got. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And next on the agenda is review of the board panel composition question. Those of you who are here will remember we had this discussion at the October meeting. Commissioner Fisher was not here, but what we discussed was the composition of the panels, the individual panels that review the appeals. And what's been going on is because there are only 3 appointed members currently on the board who review the appeals, and the composition has been 2 of the appointed members plus 1 ex officio on each panel. The workload of reviewing all of those appeals had gotten quite substantial. And so I raised it as a question, and the board voted to temporarily change the composition to 1 appointed member and 1 ex officio on each panel for the time being. And we said we would raise it again at this next meeting. And so here's the question is, these are all, except for Shamanda was here instead of Commissioner, I think we're all the same people who were here last time. Would you like to continue in this vein, or what do you want to do?
Doug's one, Susan, I think one of the reasons we tabled it is because Tom Shepner wasn't here.
Yeah, I was expecting to see him today.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd come, but until he comes, I think we need to table it so we can have a full discussion of all the citizens.
I mean, I'll just voice my view about it. I feel like it's really helpful to have 2 citizen members on the panel that have, different viewpoints, along with the agency representatives. However, it was really becoming unsustainable for me to fulfill that, to have.
What is the caseload per panel meeting now?
Well, it has reduced somewhat from what was happening a while back, where, I was on one panel where we had 90 appeals. So it hasn't, in more recent times, it hasn't, I don't know, Peter, you would have a better sense of, I don't count them, but maybe.
Yesterday was a bit shy of 60.
Okay.
But it's been between that and probably 70 or 80.
But with only 3 of us, if 2 members are on it, it's really, you're pretty much doing it twice most months, except but so
Right.
to me, and it takes me about 4 hours usually to review. If it's 90, it's more, because you want to actually review it carefully and not just gloss over things. So I felt like it was becoming unsustainable, but I felt like I was in a position where I couldn't resign because that would leave. And I didn't want to, but only for the reason that it was just too much time, So I would prefer at least, moving forward, subject to the next meeting, if Tom comes and he wants to express other views, but at least moving forward to the next meeting, I would request that we continue in this vein, because it's really the only way I can manage things personally.
100%, but I think just so I'm not going to repeat it. But what I will say is that Tom definitely needs to weigh in.
Right, I agree.
You know.
It's unfortunate that he's not here today. I also, would hope that the administration will appoint new people. And I think that would be the best thing that could happen, so that we have a full slate of appointed members that can participate. And that we could maybe go back to having 2 people, but in a more realistic
Okay.
case for as individuals.
All right. Anyone else have any comments they'd like to
The only
add?
thing, Russ Piccioni, is with DEP, in terms of getting a noise member, which I think is one of the vacant
Correct.
spots, we have a list of approved noise consultants. And these are people who submit their professional qualifications to us to be reviewed, and we add them to a list of approved noise consultants. So I'm certain that has their contact information, email, I'm sure. I don't know if it would be appropriate for us to reach out to the people who are appropriate, who are approved noise consultants, but I could see if we could share that list with you guys, and then maybe you guys could reach out to the people on that list.
I think it's officially, I think it's the
With
appointments.
City Hall could.
Yeah, I think it's the appointments.
So,
There's office appointments.
Yeah, the mayor's office.
and I think I asked, and I think a few months ago, we did make some inquiries because either you guys or City Hall had asked, and we weren't able to locate anyone, but we didn't go to everyone on this list. It's a reasonably long list of about, I think, at least 50 or 60
Okay.
people on it.
So if we wanted to find that list, who would we contact?
I can, in fact, I can find, it may even be posted online, but I don't know if
Can you
the
just send
contact
me an email?
information is posted online in terms of an email address. I can find that out, let you know.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And then the other, can you just remind us of the other seats that are open?
General,
General,
Real estate.
real estate. I mean, there's gotta be lots of people in that. Should we be asking our contacts if they have any interest, or is that?
sure, you always can. Yeah, you can have her. Yeah. And we can pass it on to the mayor's office for appointments, or you can send it yourself. All right. Okay, so on this matter, then I guess what we'll do is we'll put it back on the agenda for the next meeting. But also, assuming and anticipating that Tom will make it.
If you do want, this is Simone, senior counsel, if you do want to continue though with the 1-on-1, I think we need to have a vote to
We have to vote,
continue it
yeah.
until the next.
Okay,
until
that's
the
right, we
next
said,
board
that's right,
meeting.
that's right, we said it would be temporary until this meeting.
Right.
Okay, so, is there a motion then to continue our reconstitution, temporary reconstitution of the panel to one appointed member and one ex officio member for each panel until the next board meeting? Okay, there's a motion, and then all in favor? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's unanimous vote. All right, thank you all. And also, what we will discuss at the end of the meeting, I'm gonna move on to Russ, but are dates for the next board meeting. So we can hopefully pull out calendars for that. Okay, so next on the agenda is DEP, request for cease and desist.
My name is Russell Piccioni, I'm with the Bureau of Legal Affairs at the Department of Environmental Protection. For this meeting, DEP is requesting one cease and desist order under the Air Pollution Control Code This is in the matter of Noor Vipari Auto Repair and Body Shop, located at 3544 61st Street in Queens. This location has been the subject of repeated complaints from the neighborhood pertaining to fumes from auto painting. They have an auto spray booth, which is required to have a certificate of operation from DEP that does not have such a certificate. They have been cited 3 times for not having such a certificate, most recently on October 18th. We're continuing to receive complaints regarding this location from the surrounding area, and based on their continuing failure to comply with the requirement to get a C of O, DEP is asking the board to issue an order to cease and desist.
Okay, is there a motion to approve? All in favor? Okay, that's 9 in favor.
And we have 3 requests under the noise control code, which I can submit separately. The first one relates to the Gillen Brewer School, located at 410 East 92nd Street in Manhattan. The school has been cited 3 times for excessive noise from the air conditioning unit, most recently in September. And due to their continuing failure to comply by reducing the noise from the air conditioning unit, which was 62 decibels at the most recent inspection, DEP is asking the board to issue an order to cease and desist.
Okay, motion to approve, and all in favor? Okay, 9 in favor.
All right, the next one is for an establishment which is, the corporate name is My Image Studios. It does business apparently as Madiba Harlem, located at 46 West 116th Street in Manhattan. They have been cited for excessively loud music on 3 occasions this year, most recently on November 30th. Again, we generally do not bring cease and desist requests for music because it's very easy to just change the equipment. And since the cease and desist goes with the equipment, they're basically addressing it by just changing the equipment. However, this place has defaulted on the first 2 tickets. And since it's a continuing problem, we felt that asking the board for a cease and desist order might get some action out of them. So we're asking the board for a cease and desist order on this one.
Okay, any questions?
It's fine to issue the cease and desist order. As a practical matter, is it just a higher penalty that you think will induce action?
The second offense penalty, which would be imposed, but if they're defaulting on them, they're getting the maximum penalty anyway.
So, I mean,
And they're not paying the penalty, I believe, that they haven't paid.
Right.
They've been fined $9,600
So-
twice and haven't paid either one.
in terms of execution of the cease and desist, would that involve confiscating their stereo equipment?
Sealing.
Sealing the
Not
stereo?
confiscating,
Okay.
but sealing.
Okay.
Again, that's one of the problems with trying to do this with music, is that if you seal the sound system, which these days usually consists of a laptop or somebody's iPhone plugged into it, they just bring in another laptop and it's different equipment than, if we seal the speakers or the amplifier, they just bring in a different one.
Right.
But given that we're still getting complaints and that they've defaulted on the first 2 tickets, we felt that
It's at least a statement.
we can hopefully get some action out of them by
And you're saying this case is rare with respect to music? There are no other locations around the city that have similar situations where they've defaulted?
No, well, first of all, because this is a type of violation where it can be mitigated to 0 if you correct it. Most of the violations that we issue for music are corrected and reduced to 0, and a noise consultant puts a limiter on the equipment so it can't be turned up past a certain level, and the problem is usually resolved. It's not, the music ones usually are not repeat offenders. But this one is now on its 3rd ticket, and they've defaulted on the first 2, so, yeah.
Just a question about the defaults, how was service made on those?
Service, since it's an LLC, service would have been made through the Secretary of State and by mail.
Is there a motion to approve? Okay, all in favor?
And the last one under the noise code is for concern management, which is the managing agent of 7152 252nd Street in Queens. Under the noise code, managing agents are included in the definition of owner. And since we've been issuing the tickets to the managing agent, we're asking for the cease and desist in the name of the managing agent. They've been cited 4 times, most recently on November 29th, for noise from the boiler. And this is a little bit unusual in the sense that we usually don't have noise violations issued to boilers. But this boiler is apparently, according to the description on the most recent ticket that was issued, located directly underneath the complainant's 1st floor apartment. And they're getting 55 decibels in the apartment with the boiler running. So while the source here is a little bit unusual, they have been cited 4 times. They defaulted on 1 and stipulated to the other 2. And the condition has not been corrected, so DEP is asking for a cease and desist order.
Question?
So is this the boiler that is servicing the building in which the complainant resides?
Apparently, yes. Apparently, it's in the basement, and this is the occupant of the apartment directly above it.
So
So
if-
I don't
if
know
it's-
whether they would have to install soundproofing
Right.
in the ceiling, or.
But if the cease and desist order, if they don't
Yeah,
correct.
I see where you're going. We seal the boiler, and then
And then
the
that person
complainant
has no
would lose
heat.
their heat and hot
Well,
water.
along with other people presumably that may reside in that building.
As well as the rest of the building. Yeah, I see where you're going. Right now, I would say hopefully it won't come to that. No, we won't have to cross that bridge. But in the meantime, they've been cited 4 times and they haven't addressed the problem. So obviously what we're hoping is that this will get them to address the problem. If they were to default on it, it would be a situation similar, I think, to the residential locations with the backflow and turning off the water to a residential building. I don't think we would turn off the boiler, although they, maybe, then they have to get a temporary boiler if this boiler is mechanically having some kind of problem that's making it excessively noisy. Maybe it either has to be repaired or it has to be replaced. Kind of speculation at this point.
Question, another question?
So DEP went to the complainant's apartment and
Yes.
and measured the sound?
Yes, with the boiler on and with the boiler off. So
And-
it's 55 decibels in the apartment with the boiler on, and 39 with the boiler off. 16 decibels is almost 10 times as loud with the boiler on as with the boiler off. So this would be something, when the boiler is going on and off, this is clearly loud and audible in this person's apartment.
And she's the only one on the 1st floor above?
I don't know if they're a rental or an owner. they're the complainant, but I don't know if we go that far to identify whether they own or rent the apartment. The owner of the building is Floral Park Owners Incorporated. I don't know whether that's a condo or a co-op.
Yeah.
And they didn't change, I guess, management agent, that's the one that they have, since they haven't responded, you said.
Well, they've been stipulating to the violations, so they've been receiving them and responding to them, and I believe paying the penalties. They've paid $4,000 so far, but they haven't fixed the problem.
Well, you know, if you approve this, basically they're just notifying them, they still come in for a hearing, if they're coming for a hearing. So it's not sealed right away.
And they have been responding.
They did the fault on the first ticket, but they stipulated to the second and third
And
tickets, so
they came in.
somebody's been getting them and responding to them, yes.
And if it's a co-op, it's not an individual owner who doesn't know how to fix the problem. I mean, it's co-op.
No,
should be
it's the
equipped
building's board.
knowing how to, yeah.
I mean, my suspicion is that it will require some structural.
And we did, because this is a very unusual source for noise.
Well, they can do it from the basement, they should be able to do it from the basement, but.
You never know.
You would think that soundproofing and the ceiling
I mean, I think
maybe,
the
or-
issue is that they'll have to get, whatever they would have to do would require a building permit, and then there's other.
and that they would come in
issues.
and explain that to the hearing officer and be given adequate
Some
time
time.
Right.
to do that.
All right, is there a motion? And all in favor? Okay. In favor, okay.
All right, and finally, for this meeting, DEP has 38 requests to issue cease and desist orders to building owners who have failed to comply with backflow prevention requirements. In each of these cases, the building owner has been ordered to install backflow prevention devices. After failing to comply, they've been issued with a summons, which has been adjudicated in violation. And in each of these situations, the building owner still has not complied. So the department is asking for cease and desist orders.
All right, any questions? Okay, a motion to approve, all in favor?
Okay, and finally, just for the board's information, we started with 10 purely commercial locations, issuing shut-off warning notices for people who were in default on cease and desist orders for backflow. 9 of those 10 property owners have rescheduled with oath and are now back in front of an oath hearing officer. So we have a 90% success rate on the first group. Whether we're going to shut the water off on the 10th property is still not been decided, but so we're going to start with another group of 10 and hopefully work our way through the ones that are in default with a similar success rate. So,
And the form of notice being provided
excuse me?
is a mailing or?
No, we're sending inspectors.
Okay.
We're sending people to inspect the plumbing first of all, and then to serve them with a very strongly worded warning that they're in danger of having the water to the property turned off, and directing them to email oath to reschedule the hearing and immediately start the process of getting it in compliance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so the next agenda item are pre-seal reports. Amy Slipka. All right.
Good morning, I'm Amy Slipka, Deputy Commissioner of the Oath Hearings Division. Kelly's out today. So, for today's meeting, we have 13 pre-sealing reports. 10 of the reports involve backflow cases, and 3 of the reports involve noise code cases. First, the backflow cases. In all 10 of the backflow cases, the hearing officers recommend no sealing or other action based on respondents' evidence of compliance presented at the hearing.
All right, any questions? so there's a motion to approve? All in favor, that's
In two of the noise code cases, the hearing officers agreed with DEP's recommendations that the proceedings be discontinued and no further action be taken because the respondents presented evidence that the cited equipment was removed from the premises.
I need to recuse myself from one of them, so I don't know if you want me to just recuse on.
Okay.
On both.
Amy, you wanna name the two?
No, I've just confused on both of them.
Okay.
Be easier for me today.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? Any questions? Okay, so motion to approve on the noise cases. There are, okay, 8 in favor and 1 abstention. Okay.
Correct, thanks. And the third noise code case involves noise from the respondent's air conditioning equipment. At the hearing, the respondent presented evidence of work done on the site of the equipment to bring the equipment into compliance with the noise code. Based on respondent's evidence of compliance, the hearing officer agrees with DEP's recommendation that the equipment remain unsealed if DEP's initial reinspection and further re-inspections for a period of 180 days shows no violation.
Can you just, which one is that? I'm sorry.
That's NYU, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay, that's the one I need to recuse.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm
Well, we
sorry.
got
I
enough
got
votes.
confused.
We got enough votes for the other one.
Okay.
All right, so
So-
the accused was on the case. Okay, the abstention.
Are you gonna remain abstained on the
I can,
other two?
I'll be in favor on the other two.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter,
Okay, so any further questions on this third one? The
Oh.
MOU?
Okay, all right, so now we'll take the vote. All in favor? All right, so we have 8 in favor and 1
but.
abstention.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go into, is there a motion to go into executive session to discuss judicial report in new cases? Okay, there's a motion. All right, thank you. All right, so we're back in open session, and I want to raise the question of the scheduling of next year's meetings. And so I have some dates to propose and to find out if these are acceptable. February 28th, April 25, June 27, and August 22nd. I'd like them all at the, toward the end of the month.
Yeah, the only one that's not Stone Saloon is the August 22nd. We moved up a week because Labor Day was gonna be the Monday after the last Thursday.
Okay, so
That makes
April
sense.
25th is during the spring break for schools. Just, I personally.
Yeah, that would probably affect Tom also.
Yeah, I don't have any plans yet, but I mean, I would suggest,
Another
since
week.
a number of us have children.
So can we
There's the
move that one up a
18th.
week as well? How about the 18th?
That would be better.
That's the April one?
Yeah.
And if we also move June one that week? Because that's also right after school ends. And it's
Yeah.
the week between camp and not starting, so most parents have to take off.
That would be
So the
June 20th.
Okay, June 20. All right, so again, February 28, April 18, June 20, August 22. All right. All right, so those are set. Thank you all. Any other business? All right, so we're adjourned. See you on February 28.